Welcome to the first episode of On Point Alumni Stories, a podcast series to catch up with our former students about their post-Viewpoint journeys. Today, I am here with Mehrnoush Yazdanyar from the class of 1998, a global attorney, humanitarian, and what I'm most excited about, our class of 2023 commencement speaker. Mehrnoush, thank you for being here today. Thanks for accepting our invitation to deliver a keynote address to our graduates. And thank you for your time today recording this podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Just being here, I think I'm getting more out of it than anyone else will. So I really, really do appreciate the opportunity.
Well, it's remarkable to connect with you. Of course, I was not here at Viewpoint when you were, but I've gotten so much already out of getting to meet you and see Viewpoint through your eyes from when you were here in 1998 and share Viewpoint with you through the eyes of some of our students. So to get ready for your commencement address this Saturday, we just had lunch and you met with about a dozen of our students from the class of 2023. What did you think?
They were so impressive. As I mentioned to them, I haven't been around high school students, and I was just very curious because when I was in high school, we didn't have the same technology at all that we do today. I mean, we didn't really have cell phones, definitely no social media. I'm trying to think if we even used emails and things like that. And I was wondering how much of that connectivity on a social, technological, and not personal level would impact them and their connectivity within themselves, especially since they are a group of students who went through COVID as basically sophomores, which is a huge year in your academic career in high school. And I got to tell you, I was so impressed. Their level of comfort and conversation was very impressive, but the way that they supported each other and how genuinely they talked about this close-knit community that wanted one another to succeed and how one of their successes was a success for all, really, really hit home for me because that's how I felt about my class, but I thought my class was just really, really special, all 35 of us. I think it's just a Viewpoint thing.
I think it must be. In fact, I would say, I first was introduced to you by our alumni relations coordinator, Allison Steelberg-Corneau, who I think was a year ahead of you.
Yes.
Right?
She says it doesn't matter now, because I guess it really doesn't, but she was 1 year ahead of me.
I know that Allison's listening. She was very proud to share with me who you are. For our listeners, actually, you just introduced yourself to our students. Tell us a little bit about your journey since Viewpoint.
When I graduated Viewpoint, I went to UCLA for undergrad, and then I went to USC for law school. And I kind of had this notion that I wanted to be an attorney from when I was very, very young. Although the reasons I wanted to be an attorney when I was really, really young were more, I think, wanting to help individuals, wanting to help. I remember the phrase that always stuck to me is, I want to be the voice for those who don't have a voice. I don't even know if I understood what that meant or if I heard it somewhere, but that was what was inside of me. But I was
Very impressive. I'm inspired.
I think maybe it's one of those things that I think I said, but anyway, that's kind of what I remember and think of when I was a sixth grader saying that, what I want to be when I grow up. And I was telling the students how, from the outside, it might appear that journey has been very linear. In reality, it hasn't. And I kind of bounced back and forth. And I fell into a job I didn't like. And I was really trying to convince myself that was what was life. And fortunately, an opportunity came up and it kind of changed the trajectory of my career. And then I got into a field that I'm very passionate about. And as an Iranian American who came to the United States from Iran when I was 3, for me, America has always been a country I love, and Iran is a country that I'm from, a culture that I'm proud of. And for me, it's just this beautiful mix of the two. But obviously, when you're from a country that is the target of U.S. sanctions or vice versa, the U.S. being a target of so much animosity from Iran, all of that cultural love, the reality of how similar our cultures really are kind of gets lost. And where I basically found a niche in sanctions laws because our country's sanctions against not just Iran, but any targeted country have very real, albeit unintended consequences on dual nationals like myself who are just trying to live their life here, who are first and second generation. And so that's where my firm focuses on. It kind of tries to facilitate that, working with the government, with the U.S. financial institutions, working with the community, educating them on these regulations so they understand how something simple like selling a house in Iran and moving their money to the U.S. isn't that easy for us. So we have no banking relationships. You have to make sure you have all the proper compliance documents if you might need to get licenses from the government. Same if we want to send humanitarian aid to Iran. So we focus on that. And I thought that sanctions was something that happened to come into my life in 2010. But when I was getting ready for this speech, I was looking through my old box of memories from high school, and I found a paper that I had written in my literature class for Miss O'Callahan in 1996. And the title was The Backfiring Effect of Sanctions. And I brought it and I shared it today with the students because I guess it shows that sometimes what we're meant to do is deep within us. We have a purpose. We just have to be brave enough to follow the opportunities, even if they're kind of crazy, and let it happen. And so that's kind of what I've been doing now. And recently I was licensed in Hawaii because I'm very passionate about the island of Kauai, and I want to give back to the community there as an attorney. But that's a chapter that we have yet to write. But we're excited to see what happens, and I hopefully make it work.
That's incredible. I know that the students really loved hearing your story today, and it was really amazing that you shared that paper that you might have been 16 years old, that to think about 16-year-old Mehrnoush in an English class here, a couple hundred yards from where we're sitting, thinking about the effect of sanctions on Iranian Americans, and to know that now you just celebrated your 25th high school reunion.
I thought we weren't going to go with
right?
the numbers,
No,
but okay.
No. A little over 25 years later, you have founded a global law firm dedicated to that very challenge or problem. That's it's almost surreal.
It is. When I came across, because I didn't remember writing it. When I came across it, I was like, "What?" It's not college. It's high school. And it's I was 16, like you said, and I have to say, so I shared it with my team at my firm. I was like, "Listen, guys, look at this," and they were like, "Wow, you wrote so well." I was like, "That's the viewpoint. That was the viewpoint element." I wrote better then than I do now. I mean, I don't do as much of my own writing, I guess, but yeah, I was very impressed with that. I was like, "Wow." I cited everything. But she still gave me a 187 out of 200.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and an 83 in mechanics.
Oh.
I don't know why.
I didn't look at the grading. We could have a redo. I think Ms. O'Callahan might give me permission as the headmaster for a redo. I love that you shared with the students that you had a real commitment to, I'll just say, excellence when you were a student here, and that served you well in college and law school. And that you've learned some balance since then. It's good to see that you haven't lost the commitment to excellence.
But the balance was missing, and I'm grateful for that, and that I advocate for that. Definitely be committed to excellence. It's going to get you places, but have flexibility to enjoy life.
I was inspired to see the connection you made to the students today. I think they really appreciated that connection as well. I think they were seeing it as a real lesson in life. You shared with them that you had a real career change, that it wasn't a straight line from that 16-year-old talking about the backfiring effect to the law firm that you founded. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's important for me because I've been to so many events where the person that's speaking is basically coming from this place of I've built this life and I've established this life. And sometimes when you're on the receiving end of that and you're really not quite sure what the next step is, that could be a bit daunting. It's like, am I ever going to be able to do that? And so what is really important for me to share with the students is that it may look like I always knew what I wanted to do, and it may look like I was just so, just going forward and achieving it. But inside, I struggled with a lot of things. I was insecure about a lot of things. I probably, some of my decisions, if not most of them, were fueled by this fear of failure and always kind of playing it safe. And that really resulted in me choosing a career, not becoming a lawyer. I love that. I always wanted to do that. But when I came out, I just basically worked for like a real estate law firm, and I went into that kind of transactional exchange that for me was not at all inspiring. It was not the reason I went to law school. I didn't have that inside make you feel good and passionate about your life, that sense of purpose is being fulfilled. I think those are the things that keep you going. It keeps you happy. It keeps you young. None of that was there. And I didn't even really know what sanctions was apart from that paper that I had written. And I was really convincing myself that this is what life is. Until one day I received a phone call, and a friend of mine had been imprisoned in a maximum detention facility in New York City. The charge was violating U.S. sanctions against Iran. What he had actually done was receiving family money from Iran. And that kind of just changed the trajectory of my career and life. I was pulled to go to New York. I, for the first time, felt a sense of purpose. It was a very long, difficult 22 months of my life. I think I saw parts of our justice system that broke my heart. I think there was this naive person in me that wanted to believe everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and we do get it right. Our government gets it right. Our judicial system gets it right. And it was very difficult to see that even if you're on the right side of the law, sometimes you lose. Now, eventually, they did end up getting it right. It was a conviction, and then I was overturned. And from that, I realized, well, what happened to him could happen to any one of the 2 million Iranian Americans residing in the United States who have zero ties to the government of Iran, who are just wanting to basically engage in normal transactions that any immigrant group would. If that they were from France, it wouldn't pose a problem. It's just because they're from Iran. And so I was like, I got to do something about it. And the passion came alive, and I love that I followed that, because I had no idea during those 22 months what was going to come of it. I just was doing one step at a time. But to look back and reminisce on what was built, but it started with that. So it was an opportunity, and I felt like in my gut I needed to take it. It didn't make sense at the time. It didn't end up making sense for 3 years later. But when it did and it clicked, I was like, oh, this is what they mean when they say you don't need to know exactly what the next step looks like. You just need to be brave enough to take that step. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do, and I still try to live my life that way, because it's also, as you get older, it's easy to get a little complacent, and it's easy to be like, well, and I don't want to get complacent, because I honestly want to keep doing good things for a very long time, and being back here is reminding me how fast time goes by. So I got to do things that keep you young,
That's incredible. So that sixth grade Mehrnoush who wanted to go into law to help people, you've done that.
Yes. It took me 30 years, but I finally heard her voice, and now she won't shut up. So she's kind of taken over, and I'm okay with that.
I love that. I imagine that your firm has helped countless people who it's our governments can disagree between these two countries, but the people still need your help.
Absolutely, and it is. I mean, we did. There's been a recent issue about bank account closures that have been targeting Iranian Americans, and we're working very closely with the banks to resolve that matter. And we looked at it, and to look at the number of people over the past almost 14 years my firm has assisted is a little mind blowing. I mean, I don't really think about it because I think But I mean, the successes are one that come one step at a time. And I think this opportunity to be here has kind of made me reflect on all the steps and made me look at things. And sometimes it's hard for me to accept or allow myself to say, you did good. You did good. I'm a little bit hard on myself. That was what I was telling the students. I'm like, don't be so hard on yourself, But I'm the hardest on myself, so I got to work on not doing that. But it is tremendous. We have helped thousands and thousands of people in the community, and a win-win-win. I mean, how exciting is it to find an area of law that you can practice where it's a win for our government, it's a win for my clients, it's a win for the banks, and it's a win for my firm because it's a win for all those people. So, like I said, I'm one of the few attorneys who's really, really happy that I come across.
I loved your sharing it with our students. We had students around this lunch table who want to go into medicine, to law, to business, to all these fields of endeavor, but that you could share that you found a way to be an attorney and have a sense of purpose and be, as you said, the happiest attorney you know. I think that was a remarkable example for them.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really happy to connect with the students in the way that we did, because after when the students were giving me a campus tour, they were asking questions. They were like, "That was really good. You should say that, and you should incorporate that." I was like, "Okay." That's why I came back and asked for more time.
Oh, that's outstanding. Well, the inspiration for that lunch was so that when you speak to our students at commencement, that they'll have a connection to you. They already have a connection to you, of course, because you went to the same school. That school's changed in 25 years, and yet some things are the same. But I know that now they'll have an even warmer connection to you personally.
Absolutely.
Meeting them and taking a tour with a couple of our students, what is the same?
It's that sense of community is the same. We met multiple faculty members. Some of them I knew, some of them I didn't, most of them I didn't. But it's just that warmth, like, we know you're from this class, you're speaking, and it was incredible. Walking through the school was incredible because it's expanded quite a bit. I mean, it was 3 times the size of what it was when I went here.
The land is 3 times as much land easily, and twice as many students for sure.
Yeah,
you graduated with how many students?
35.
And we will graduate 129 seniors on Saturday.
That's amazing. But what has stayed the same is this sense of community, collectivity, warmth, because that's how I felt. Like when I was walking through the breezeway, I was like, I remember, like, every time you saw a faculty member, every time you saw a student. I actually saw an old student that was there too, and she was looking for her kid. But I mean, I think her child goes here now, but we were just in the breezeway. I'm like, how symbolic and poetic is this right now, you know?
You ran into one of our parents in the breezeway who was here with you as a student?
He was here with me as a student. I think she was also in Allison's grade, yeah.
Who was that?
Taran Linder, I think. I believe his last name, yeah. Which I can't believe I remembered the last name. I mean, that's a lot.
I'm very impressed. And that's incredible because, of course, I mean, our listeners may know the school today. So I know one of our tour guides, Annabelle, is a lifer, so she knows the whole campus. And so you went to that's now our lower school.
Yes, and that was where all of our magic happened, all in one area. I mean, they showed a theater, they showed a football field. I think there were 2 pools. There was another gym. I mean, that gym that you guys have down there now.
That's right.
It's incredible. Then we walk up to the pavilion, and I was like, well, this is where everything happened for us. It was every assembly, our graduation, our on-campus dance, everything. Everything was here, everything that I could ever remember. But when I walked up from the back and opened the door, it was like literally walking into your past. And it was... I'm still processing, to be honest. It was a lot of emotions because it's nostalgia. It's this incredible sense of pride of how this community has grown, but that sense of close-knit, like, has stayed the same. And I can see that in the students because I felt bad. I was like, you guys are graduating. Like, go do it. They're giving me a campus tour. They're both like, no, we wanted this. We wanted this. We wanted to be here, you know? And it was genuine. And I was so touched by that. But it did bring back a lot of memories. Like, our breezeway was everything. Now you know how many beautiful little areas you have where students can gather and eat and relax and talk and read and do all those things. I mean, it's just incredible.
That breezeway is now where 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders have lunch.
Yes.
And as you said, for you, it was like your high school and your everything.
It was everything was in the breezeway.
So I asked what stayed the same, and I love that answer. What's changed? You know,
I mean,
clearly the physical campus.
Exactly, the physical campus. But what was also remarkable in speaking to the students was how many different opportunities the school gives them to explore what they want to do. I mean, they were listing clubs and activities that did not exist when I was here. And it seemed like if something doesn't exist that they wanted to do, they had the full support of the school, the faculty to create that, which was amazing because I feel like it has created students who know what they want to do, not because they're forcing themselves because they feel this pressure that, okay, I'm graduating, I need to know. It's because they've actually had the opportunity to experience different things and decide, oh, this is what I want to do. They were talking about they had a pre-med club and they did sutures on bananas.
Yes.
Well, that's incredible. I mean, if you don't know, that's a great way to figure that out if that's something that you want to do. So that was that was I felt great. 'Cause I look at it from someone who's growing older, and you're ready to pass on this world that you've tried to put something positive into to the next generations to do it. And this made me feel better today.
I'm really happy to hear that. I know it was really something to witness that lunch and think about our school in 25-year increments, because, I think I shared with the students that, 25 years from now, when you're coming back for your reunion,
oh my goodness,
the place will be quite different. I was realizing how old I would be. I don't think I'll be here as the head of the school. And yet to think about what will be the same and what will be different. You started something when you were here.
I did.
You helped start the girls soccer team.
Yes.
There was no girls soccer program when you came to the school.
No, there was not. I was an avid soccer player, and I remember that was when I came to Viewpoint and there was no girls soccer team. It was one of the things that kind of I was like, no, I really want to play. I really want to play. But the faculty and the coaches, Coach Stafford Moyal, they were so supportive of go try for the guys team. Then if you want to, like and all my friends were supportive, and I did.
So as a freshman girl, you played on the guys team.
I did, and I was a starter. And I actually scored some big goals. Yeah, I was. And it was amazing. And then the next year, with the help of Coach Stafford, we established the girls team. And we were walking around today. Apparently, they're on fire, the girls team.
The girls team has been doing very well.
Very well. And that warms my heart. I'm like, yeah, go get them, girls. I wish I'd known. I would have come to see a game.
Oh.
And you have, students that are going on to play soccer. And that was the thing. I wanted to play for UCLA. And I didn't make it onto the team, but then Coach Stafford actually knew the coach, and he said, well, have her come on as a walk-on, which is very, very challenging. But I made it. I went on and I made it. But Coach Stafford had warned me. He's like, it's a different world. Like, when you're playing, women's soccer in college, D1, it's a different world, and it's not going to be it's going to be hard to maintain that love and passion for the sport, because it's going to be so focused on the competitive side. And I don't know if you want to do that, but go give it a shot. And just the experience of trying out, his words were very, very true, and I reflected a lot on it. And it was something that I chose to do intramural instead, and I actually really enjoyed that. But I saw him walking today, and I was like, you saw
Coach Stafford today.
I was like, do you remember? He's like, of course I did.
I bet he remembers like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I think we both do, but we kind of both know it wasn't yesterday.
You saw Mr. Stafford, you saw Mr. Moyal, you saw Patrick Moyal, our athletic director.
Yes, I did. And when I was here, he was in those little those little trailers that were behind the pavilion. That was where all that everything athletic took place, and it was just and he was showing me the different areas and.
You saw the Paul Family Athletic Center. You saw.
Yeah.
We're
quick. We were on a time limit, but we got everything done. We walked very fast.
We're completing actually a new peak performance center. It's going to be a sports medicine center down there. I mean,
oh, wow.
That has changed, right?
Yeah. I'm going to come back more. I was saying I don't have kids, but I have a nephew, so I'm going to work on that situation. I think it's time for another Yazdanyar. Yeah.
The other student tour guide, in terms of what has changed, so you started something. The other student tour guide who was with you, Kimia, she founded the Middle Eastern Students Affinity Group.
That was very impressive.
Did she talk to you about that?
Yeah, that was incredibly impressive. And she's also going to UCLA, so I told her, I said, just anything I could do to help you, I'm here for you. I definitely connected with her, even though I met her for, 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes.
So I was inspired by your connection today. We've asked her to introduce you on Saturday.
Oh, exciting. That's so exciting. I feel like I've known these students for a really long time, and I just had a lunch with them, and that's incredible.
I think there's something that's part of what you were saying is in the school's culture. We've done this before with other commencement speakers, introduce them to a group of seniors so that you have a connection when you speak to them. And what these students said today about the school, I've heard other groups of students say as well, that they celebrate each other's successes. Mm-hmm. That was so, so inspiring.
It was one other thing that was really impressive is, like I said, I wasn't sure what to expect. And even when I was drafting the commencement speech, I was like, well, I don't know. Like, I'm not speaking to law school students. I'm not speaking to attorneys. I'm not speaking to, necessarily the groups I normally do. High school, I'm like, I wonder how that conversation is going to go. And I didn't have to tailor or change anything. They were so on the same page in terms of communication style, ease of speech, points that they made, and that was very impressive. And I think one of them kind of alluded to it and he said, we feel comfortable. We feel like we are world ready because I feel like I can go into a room with an adult or, sit one-on-one at a lunch and actually have some meaningful things to say. I said, well, I can definitely confer that all of you guys can do that. And that was very impressive. I did not feel like I was in a room with high school students. I definitely didn't feel that way at all. I felt like they were far above and beyond.
It was actually incredible to hear that student say that, because just as your law firm has a mission, we took a lot of time to develop a mission statement a couple years ago that was focused on what we do as a school, what we do well, and what we aspire to do in the future. And it really was that notion of world readiness, of exceptional readiness for extraordinary futures. And so to hear the students talk about what it means to be world ready, so that was I was inspired to hear them. So you think they're world ready?
I absolutely do. And I'm excited to see what they do with the world, because I'm telling you, they inspired me. That's why I was like, I got to go clear my calendar and add to this speech. I want to give them back what they gave me today.
That's incredible. You also were ready for your experiences. Tell me about the connection between your studies at Viewpoint and when you were in their shoes, graduating from Viewpoint, going off to college.
Well, the good news for them is that Viewpoint was hard. For me, it was hard. It was very difficult. It was very challenging. I came in here in 9th grade, and I had to work really, really hard to excel in school. But when I got to UCLA, it was like that first quarter, I was so scared of not doing right, and I had to study all around. And then it was so easy. And I'm like, this is easy. And it was much easier than Viewpoint was. And to say that it prepared me would be an understatement. I feel like I was really, really ready to go. I mean, for the academic performance that I had, I did not study much. I mean, I did really, really well. I graduated summa cum laude. I'm telling you, very, very top percent of my class in 3 years with a major and a minor. And I'm not a genius. I swear I was just ready. I was ready, and I knew how to study.
And a hard worker.
But I mean, the school taught me how to study.
Yeah.
Everything from time management to how do you study for a class to figuring it out. You get a syllabus. What do you do? What do you not do? And that was very helpful for me.
I think it was a really great example for our students to see that hard work and passion pay off, actually. As you think about them and their exceptional futures, what do you hope for them?
I hope that it doesn't take them as long as it took me to trust themselves and to learn that, controlling things is an illusion we create to make ourselves feel better. But the real control and the real strength comes from letting go and trusting, of course, focusing on the things you can do, but also being open to what may not even be in your mind about something that's possible. And if an opportunity presents itself, being open to it. That, and then also, I feel like a lot of students that come from an institution like this tend to be very focused on academics, tend to be very, organized and very hard on themselves, very type A in a lot of ways. So use those, because that can be very incredibly helpful in helping you advance in life. But balance that with being human and experiencing things, because you're only going to get one chance to be in college. You're only going to get one chance to make these friends. Like the friends I made in college are my lifelong friends today. I mean, literally, my closest friends are the ones that I made that first day at UCLA, and embrace that. So balance everything together, but just trust yourself, trust your instinct, trust your gut. It doesn't all come from your brain. There's this huge part of you that's run by our instincts, things that we've had, like millions and millions of years of evolution are growing inside of us. Use that like compass and let it point you to where you need to be.
It was so interesting when you were talking with the students today. I had such a strong sense of, your intellect, your education, your experience, but also that heart and spirit that you bring to the work you do. That's a great example for our students. You mentioned the next chapter that's yet unwritten. What's next for you?
So I don't know. And the reason I really wanted to talk about that is because I want them to understand that the things that I'm asking them to do are the things I'm asking myself to do. So I'm not just standing there as someone who's done doing, saying, hey, just, let go of control and, live your life and take that step when you're not sure where it takes you. I want to say that at 43 years old, I'm starting something new. I'm, so afraid of failing, that it's not going to go anywhere, that I'm going to take a huge financial hit, and I'm going to look back and say, what was I thinking? I had this thriving practice, a life, a home, family, everything in California, and now I'm just like, hey, I want to do this in Kauai. But I feel it. That sixth grader feels it. I feel it in my gut. My instinct says something is there. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, I literally just passed the bar, and I'm just beginning to establish a practice there. Is going to be in a completely new area of law. I have to relearn a lot of things. And as I was studying for the bar in Hawaii, I realized that, like many things that come with age, studying has become more difficult as well. Relearning things has become more difficult. But so the
Studying
truth
is best for
I
the
don't
young,
know.
right?
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be. But I know I want to give back to the Hawaiian Islands, specifically the island of Kauai. This island has really helped me center myself, put life in perspective. It feeds my soul in a way that I can't really explain, and it feels home in a way that I can't explain, and I want to give back. And I feel like using my law degree is one way that I can give back that could be incredibly powerful. What that's going to look like, I think we're going to have to talk about it in 25 years when I'm coming back to the campus. Or at least
join you.
5. How about 5?
Okay, I like that
How about
better.
we do this from Kauai? I think it's going to be great.
I think we might need to establish a Viewpoint campus on
I
Kauai.
think so.
Or at least an exchange program.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so great. I hear the the football team is going there.
I think the football team has a trip planned to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Our swim program, we have a huge legacy in swim. I don't know if you were ever a swimmer here at Viewpoint.
That was the one thing I didn't do. I did cross country, softball, and soccer, obviously.
you're a 3-sport athlete.
Yeah, we had to be. There's
Right.
only a limited number of us.
Our swim team also goes to Hawaii.
I'm going to figure out if you
could
can send me their schedule, because I have all that new Viewpoint memorabilia. I'm wearing it. I'm going to go to I'm going. I'm supporting.
Outstanding. Yeah. Someplace for you to wear the swag.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this what lesson do you hope students will take away from your talk on Saturday?
I think the two takeaways would be, find that voice in you from before, the voice that you dared to dream big because you hadn't really experienced enough of the world to be silenced, so that before you were afraid of failing, before you were insecure about not being good enough about something, find that voice and that passion and pursue that in this next chapter of life. We don't need to know exactly what it is that you do, and don't be hard on yourself if you don't know what it is that you do, but try to be true to that, because you really can't go wrong if you stay true to that. And the second thing would be, we live in a very quickly changing world. Technology, AI, all of these things are kind of taking over, and they're changing a way of life at a pace that I think it's hard to keep up with. But just, you can never be replaceable if you keep bringing the human element to things. Your heart, your passion, your soul, your instinct, they don't have those things, and they can't create those things. That's special within us. So don't lose that part of you as you go through the next slide, and also pump it into the world, because we need it. I think we just need it. We need more humanity and more human elements and more connectivity on a real level, not just through phones and messages and whatnot. Like today was so special because it wasn't on Zoom, and it wasn't on social media. It wasn't on a phone call. It wasn't on a email announcement. It was me meeting students and sitting side by side and having a real conversation, and that was invaluable to me.
And not a single one of them had a phone out.
I know. I'm telling you. And everyone was like, because I kind of was scanning the room.
Yeah.
Mrs. Doris Warren, my teacher here, my speech teacher, told me
She taught you speech and debate. And she was our drama teacher here at the school.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the things she taught me I mean, literally, public speaking has become a large part of what I do. And sometimes I will speak in front of a crowd of thousands of people, or radio, TV, or a group of 10, which incidentally is harder for me to do than 10,000, honestly. Just the level that you connect with them. And she would say, you have to make eye contact with everybody. You have to connect with everyone. So I was kind of scanning the room as we were talking today. And I'm like, they're engaged. I mean, they're engaged in this conversation. Maybe I'm not as boring as I think that I am. And that was really rewarding.
You were not boring at all. You had a very interesting question for them about AI. And this year will go down in history as the year that technologies like GPT really broke through. And so you were able to ask them about that. What did you think about their response to the questions about AI and GPT and new technologies?
I was incredibly impressed because I feel like it encompassed what most of us adults out there are feeling, which is this twofold reaction of it can be great. Well, I was really impressed about how they knew how great they knew it was. I mean, I'm like, oh, it's efficient, and they were breaking it down. Like we had the one student that's going
Audrey
to biology.
Knew about protein folding.
She's like, proteins will unfold, and do you know that if they? And I'm looking at her, I'm like, don't look stupid, don't look stupid. Yeah, I know what protein folding is. Google it, no.
I'm sure Audrey took AP Bio.
So impressed by that. But just weighing the benefits of it, but not being so, not being so impressed by or oblivious to the negative impacts that technological development at this level could have, and highlighting their concerns, whether it's job security, whether it's human connectivity, whether it's creating isolation. And like I said, that gives me hope because I feel like, oh, they are aware of the issues. They see benefits, they see the drawbacks, they're weighing them both. And like that's what a conversation, I think, if I go to dinner with my friends about something like that would sound. Honestly, I think theirs was more sophisticated with the examples that they gave us. Like, I didn't know.
I know. That one of our STEM students knew all about universal basic income.
I know. I was like,
I was very impressed.
Okay, I don't know. It's like, I wrote a sanctions paper in 1996.
We were talking about the risks and the downsides, but we were also talking about the humanity being the essential element. And I really appreciated that was your message for them. And it really, to me, reflected our school's core value of optimism. I'm glad that's something they might have given to you. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
This experience has been very surreal. And like I said, I think I'm still processing it. I was always grateful that I went to Viewpoint because this community and the tools, the foundational tools that I got here have really helped me shape my life. But I am so incredibly grateful for the opportunity to come back because, like I said, I think this is the perfect, it's almost as if it was meant to be because this is the time in my life that I need to be reminded of all of these things. It's a pivotal time. I'm trying to do something new, and it's almost like calling myself out on things. As I speak to them, it's like I'm speaking to myself. And I think it's just a testament to this community. It is, you go away, it can change, it can grow, students can change, technology can change, but the core values have remained the same. You are fostering kids that are ready to go out in the world, academically, socially, and to create the futures that they want, just like I was able to do. And I'm so excited to see where it comes, and I really want to be a little bit more involved. Like I said, I don't have kids. I have a nephew, and I'm going to work on. I'm the best auntie in the world. I'm going to start working on the auntie's going to go into full drive. But I want to come back and give back more, and that's kind of that's where it's left me thinking. And the last thing is the optimism. I'm an incredibly optimistic person. During every part of my career where things didn't look right or feel right, I never gave up. And I think optimism,
Wow.
we need optimism. We need it, and we need to hold on to it, and we need to live it, and we need to breathe it. And I think being back here has really helped me do that. And I feel better and more optimistic about our future. If these kids are going to go out there and put their thumbprints on this world, I feel much more optimistic about it than I did before I came into this room.
Mehrnoush, thank you. That's outstanding. I am so grateful to you. We have that optimism in common. You have an open invitation to continue to stay engaged with our school. I know our students would really appreciate that. I thank you because one of the things you gave us today is a real sense of the chain of being, from the leaders who put this school here to the leaders who were here and some of the teachers who are still here from your time here to the students that you'll speak to on Saturday, and then when they'll be in your chair as an alum and really engaging with and giving back to their school. I couldn't be more grateful than for the experience.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And I think you are a testament to our world-ready graduates. And I'll tell you, I'm very excited to hear about the next chapter.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you to everyone listening. Have a great day.
On Point is produced by Viewpoint School, an independent school in Calabasas, California, serving students in grades TK through 12. You also can find the On Point podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the Viewpoint School channel on YouTube, and at viewpoint.org/onpoint.